the burden. Let's talk about that. Let's get cracking. About 28 years ago, seems like a lifetime ago, I was a MSF instructor here in Northern Virginia, and it was being taught at the local community college in my area. And it certainly wasn't for the money that I did this. A few of you that watch my channel are instructors out there. I know HDVIBE, Rick is. I want to talk why I quit being a MSF instructor. I had kind of a life-changing experience. I had a young lady come to me that wanted to learn how to ride, and she was struggling with using a clutch. So I reached out to her privately and said, you know, I will train you how to use a clutch. I will borrow my nephew's little Honda XR 100 or whatever it was, you know, small trail bike. And I'll meet you at my drain field at the house and we'll get geared up. You're going to fall many times, you're going to stall many times, but you're going to get up and you're going to figure it out, and you will become proficient with a manual clutch. And this young lady said she's totally down with that. So the weekend finally came, and I dragged my nephew's motorcycle over to the house, and we set up shop in the drain field and spent many hours doing drills on using a clutch. And by the end of the first day, I would say she was pretty much 90% there on proficiently using the clutch. So that was kind of a win. And the goal at hand, if you will. And she went on and wanted to take the class. And she wanted to take the class I was teaching. And I'm like, that's fine. I mean, these are the days I'm instructing, and you can request if they aren't full already. You're certainly welcome to have a seat. And I'll be glad after class to have any Q&A and answer any questions that you like to help you progress and learn in the sport or the hobby that I love. So she completed the class and got her certificate, which in the state of Virginia actually counts as the physical part of your motorcycle examination to acquire your M endorsement or motorcycle license. And what I mean by that is all you have to do is take the written exam and you're done. And you have your motorcycle license. It's handled. So she finished up the class. She went and got her motorcycle's license. Circled around with me and had many conversations about what to get for her first bike. And just said, you know, that's a matter of personal opinion. Typically, anyone that starts in this hobby gets something smaller and quickly outgrows it, usually within the first year. So I recommended you buy something used, knowing it's not going to be around very long, and move on to the next big thing that you really want. Which she did, and she bought a Honda 650 of some sorts. It was low to the ground. She didn't have a very tall inseam, and felt like she could manage that particular bike very well, and she could. And not 2 weeks after the class, and she bought her first motorcycle, she had an accident. Somebody pulled out in front of her and made a left-hand turn, and she died on impact. And that day has haunted me for 28 years. To this day, I still have nightmares. I wake up in the middle of the night as I have a heavy heart, and I wonder what could I have done to keep this young lady out of harm's way? I thought I had done everything. I've gone over it in my mind 1,000 times. And no one really knows. All we can do is take our best shot in life and roll the dice. I get it, I shouldn't be held accountable for other people's actions, but this young lady's actions were based on my recommendation. And in my heart, I believe I did her the best I could do, but to this day I don't know. So that's the title of this video, The Burden. And the object of this video is not to poop on everybody's day and have a Debbie Downer video to watch. That's not the point. The point is, we as motorcyclists, you need to understand the fragility of life. And it hangs by a thread. And people don't really realize that. And they entrust one another to get... I've seen it 100 times over where, you know, somebody's posturing like they're an expert in motorcycles and they're giving really bad advice to somebody starting out in the hobby. I have to walk away. I can't own everybody's issues in my lifetime. And I'm not willing to have reoccurring nightmares because I was involved with people's bad decisions. So I quit the MSF class. At the end of the day, my mind wasn't right. I guess I'm too much of a weak individual to be able to shrug those type of incidents off. And it affected my will to move forward and help the greater masses. In a perfect world, to quote Spock on Star Trek, the needs of the few don't outweigh the needs of the many. And I believe that statement to be true. But for what it's worth, I walked away never to return. So your takeaway from this is when you're riding and you meet people that want to get into the sport, you can be 70 years old and it could be that 14-year-old who's eyeing your motorcycle going, that's the greatest thing I ever saw in my life. You're making an impression on that kid. You could be riding with a group and a housewife that's being kind of intimidated by her husband may come up to you and say, hey, what do you think about riding, and that kind of thing. And I always try to encourage that with people. So be very careful what you recommend and who you recommend to help individuals. In life, when you give out advice and you make decisions, it affects many people's lives. In this sport, it may affect their life forever. So kind of take that to heart and put some thought into it before you just quickly jump in and try to offer advice and help people. My advice is, if somebody wants to get into the sport, go take the class with them. Then have coffee and conversation after the class. Answer their questions. Any insecurities they have, things that made them uneasy, any questions that they're wrestling with, and help these people get to where they're trying to go. And I highly recommend, if you have the wherewithal and the time to invest back into our community, find out how to become an MSF instructor and make a difference in a motorcyclist's life. I would like to think these people, maybe not me in this case, saved a lot of lives with what they helped on instruction. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. Something to think about. Remember, folks, go riding. It's good for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.